Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped, something sick.
I wasn't expecting that
either. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
And then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny, I haven't seen that before.
It feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things. Of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
All right. Got any parts you'd like to get to know better or change your relationship with?
So many. I always have so much trouble just narrowing down to what to go with. I've got a snarky part that's been coming up and I've got the believer part that we were a little bit chatting around, not about. And then I've been wanting to do some work as well on some food parts as well, which came up in the last IFS live IFS episode I listened to. And so that kind of reactivated my interest in that. So I'm having a really hard time. They all are important, as we both know. I'm trying to figure out who needs to be heard today.
Okay. I'm curious about the parts we talked with last time.
The parts we talked with last time. Oh.
Yes.
I am curious about them too. I think I am doing a session about that with in August.
Cool.
So
is that just a one-on-one session with her?
Mm-hmm.
And have you done that? Have you done anything like that with her?
No.
Okay. Exciting.
So yeah, but the part that we did the bulk of the work with last time, I feel like she always has more to say. So it's never a bad idea to check in on her. But as far as trying to navigate all of that and
she's on your calendar.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Okay. So snarky parts, believer, food parts.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going to try to see if one of them jumps up for a second.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the believer part, although the snarky part has been jumping up a lot lately.
Uh-huh.
It's very hard for me sometimes to decide. But the believer one, I feel like it's been on the back burner for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It came up like when I first started doing, trying to do self IF. Oh, wait. Okay. I may have to go in a completely different direction, because it just reminded me when I started trying to do self IFS,
mm-hmm.
there's something that keeps me from doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
solo stuff.
Yeah. And that's holding me back. And I completely forgot that I had that on my docket as well. Mm-hmm. The best I can come up with is that it's the pusher part, that we talked to the one time. That's just like, do stuff that's tangible, or,
Right.
I don't know, but there is something that keeps me from doing the check-ins with regularity.
Mm-hmm.
And that is bothersome to me because I would really like to be able to get more deep with myself than I can get, mm-hmm. or not more deep with myself than I can get when I'm guided, but I would like to be able to deepen this practice on my own, in addition to trades and calls with you and things like that. Mm-hmm. I just feel like I'm not showing up for them a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Aside from momentary thoughts of them while they're, jumping into situations during the day, but like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing the thing.
Yeah. A question keeps coming up for me, which is not exactly parts related, but I am curious. Do you have any other practice? Like, do you already have a meditation practice or a yoga practice or something that you're doing solo that is along that same lines of kind of you're quieting your mind and you're...
Every single day? The only thing I do every single day is go sit outside for 10 minutes in the morning, mm-hmm. to take in sunlight.
Nice.
I have other practices, but none of them happen every single day. Mm-hmm. There's sit outside and take in sunlight, look at the plants, and things like, brush the teeth and feed the cats. But like, that's the only thing.
Yeah.
Sitting outside on the porch for 10 minutes is what I do. And I've thought many times, like, I could just do my check-ins then, but I have to close my eyes. I just need to close my eyes. And those two things don't get along. So, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can think about my parts with my eyes open, but it's easier by far for me to connect to them with my eyes closed. And the point of the sitting outside, as you know, is to take in the sunlight and mm-hmm. get the circadian rhythms fixed up.
Got it.
So, yeah.
Okay, good. Good to know where your baseline of that kind of stuff is.
Yeah.
And when you think about doing solo IFS work, is that something that you would imagine wanting to do every day?
I would like to do it. There's definitely a part that wants to do it every day. Mm-hmm. And I think it would be very beneficial for me to do every day. Mm-hmm. But there's also a part that resists any kind of every single day commitment.
Definitely.
Period.
Yeah, well, that stuff adds up.
I know, it really does.
Yeah.
And it maybe doesn't need to be every single day, but if there's no set pace, or if it's like whenever the mood strikes me, then that just doesn't work very well.
Right.
Because the mood will strike me and
Same for me.
Yeah. The mood will strike me. And then the part that says, oh, but this and that and that and that and that will chime mm-hmm. in or whatever. So yeah, I can't just leave it to my
Me neither.
system. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
I think, I got a little, I make like a funny comment on the Discord, but I got a little inspired by Justine's most recent one where, the part was like 3 days. Come on,
right.
You can do it. And I'm like, I can do it. But I didn't do it.
3 days, 3 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I'm not doing it. And that's a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know we still haven't really gotten into like parts work, but
yeah.
I appreciate your patience with me.
It's you.
And yeah, I do kind of struggle around this topic because I feel like I have some expertise around building habits and all the things that go into that. Mm-hmm. And it's not a lot to do with parts, at least that kind of information or tips that I use or have. It's kind of like, here's the things I do to build a new habit. So I'm open to talking about that stuff with you, or we can start with parts and however you want to go in this conversation.
I'm interested to hear those things, but I don't want to spend this time on that because, as you know, I'm not showing up for my parts, and and that would feel like yet another not showing up for them moment.
I agree. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Maybe I'll put all those habit ideas on a piece of paper somewhere and put a link somewhere.
Okay.
Okay. Parts. Good idea. Have any parts come up just while we've been talking about building habits that seem like they might be most relevant?
The pusher part that is like, got to do this. Got to clean up the kitchen, and you got to do all these things before you leave the house. And the part that doesn't want to commit to things. Those are the parts that I think are involved in the resistance movement, involving that.
Okay. You could check in with them, see if they are the ones that are up around that, or you could see who else you might conjure by just saying, okay, I'm going to start right now. Here's my daily practice. It starts in 10 minutes, and see who else objects.
I mean, there's some sense, I can't put a part on it, but there's some sense that surely some of the resistance is around uncovering something that I'm not aware of. But like, when you said that, my parts cracked me up, but this is why I want to show up, because they amuse me too. But as soon as I tried to look towards the pusher part, it was like holding its hands up, like, it's not me, I didn't do it. Yeah. And the commitment part's just like, me, like, I'm going to resist, that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just has a default of saying no to new obligations.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, even when I'm, let's say I'm in a coaching session as the coachee, and I'm about to say something that I think I should do, that part's like, don't say that. Don't say that out loud. Like, then someone might want to hold you accountable. Like, don't say you're going to do XYZ for yourself.
Yeah, I get it.
Because then you've said it out loud, and then that other person whose job it is to point out that you said it has heard you say it. Which is, it's just that part. It's like, don't commit to anything else, which is understandable, because my unclaimed calendar space is premium real estate.
Right. Well, you've also heard me talk about how much I shy away from coaching in these conversations. So
Right.
if there are parts that want to be able to brainstorm, explore out loud without, me, I can commit to not bringing it up and not saying, hey, how about those ideas that you said?
Well, it's not so much that a coach is necessarily going to do that. It's just that the whole point of it is to notice what you've said you were going to do.
Yeah.
And
then there was a possible other part that was concerned about uncovering something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a part that always thinks that I'm avoiding something, or missing something, or purposefully missing something in order to avoid something. And I don't know if it's that part or if there is really, something that's kind of squirrely in there trying to keep me from committing to that. Because, of course, the more parts work you do, the more things you uncover.
Yes.
And the more, vulnerable things get exposed.
Yep.
I honestly don't think, though, that the solo work is what does the most of that. But it gives you the breadcrumbs, to find out and to get into when there's someone to hold the line.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm feeling very kind of gridlocked on this whole topic, even though it's the one that I took us off into.
I just keep looking for parts that are up around it. And if none of them feel like that's the one, then maybe they're not up, or again, maybe it is kind of a more of a tactical conversation, more of a,
or maybe it is more, maybe it is like, I just had this notion, and maybe, who knows if it's right, but maybe something was pointing me in this direction because it's not the juicy direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, despite a part that's like, oh my gosh, you just took us on a big detour and that's not cool. I'm going to go back over to the believer part, which was where I was right before other interjection came up.
And you have time to meet all your parts.
I know. It just always feels like, oh my God, there's such a long line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that, we explore a topic, and if you feel called to switch and talk to another part, I think that's great.
Okay, that's what I'm going to go with, because as I was saying before, I all of a sudden said, oh my God, this other thing. This one came up. In fact, I believe that I mentioned this part in our very, very first call ever. But we went a different direction. But it had come up in some of the very first times that I sat down with myself and tried to stumble around in there.
Yeah.
This believer part and its opponents.
The rational ones.
Well, there's that one. There's kind of like there's kind of a part that points to these sort of like these experiences I've had where it felt like everything was just kind of stripped away for a little while. I don't know. that one doesn't feel as in opposition to it as when I peel into it. There's like a part that, so the believer part is about believing that life and the universe, which a part of me wants to put in quotation marks and say in a silly voice that like that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the opponent parts wants to put in quotation marks. The believer wants to believe, or does believe, that life and the universe respond to what I do, or choose, or think, or say. Not like I'm the whole system is done with like good vibes only or whatever. But that, that synchronicities will, arise if you're moving in the right direction, or
quotation marks around all of that, huh?
Yeah. Yes, the quotation marker is strong.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Right.
And that's why this part, doesn't get much play anymore. There was a time when it was, when it had at least a hand on the wheel, and there's been a lot of things that just pushed it to the trunk of the car. And parts that have done so, right. Or, just like, I'm always bringing up, and this is quotes too, adulthood, but
sure.
Yeah. Like the believer part at certain points in my life has gotten very excited and very activated. And then, just kind of, it fades, and then other parts kind of negate it and stuff. There's enough of them that, like,
it's outnumbered.
It's hard for I think you've clearly seen that it's hard for me to be in self towards it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not just that rational part that I was talking to you about earlier. That one's like kind of cool with it. It's like, oh, cool. But there's just like, a bunch of other types of naysayers.
Okay. We've learned about the quotation marker.
Yeah.
Whoever's pushing to the trunk, adulthood, rational one.
Yeah, there's just this other part that says the opposite. It's like the world is a machine. Yeah. And even if it isn't, there's like this kind of non-dual sort of, but it's like a flavorless version of non-dual belief, like everything is nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's nothing to say like it doesn't matter what you do, but that, like
flavorless.
Yeah, that believing doesn't matter is the other part.
Okay. Well, that part is also welcome.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So these parts that push down the believer, would you like to further get to know any of them first, or try asking them for space?
I'm not sure where the emotion is coming from, but like I was having a thought after I finished speaking about like the world or the universe just kind of being cold. And there was like a lot of emotion coming up around that. So I don't know if it's the believer part that's responding to that statement, or if it's the emotion comes from the part that says that, or what. But yeah, this one's tricky. Maybe that's why I haven't gotten to it.
Maybe you could tune in more to that emotion about the universe being cold.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's not heartless and cold. It's just, it's like a tough love kind of, like, yeah, I don't know how to describe it.
And how about the emotion around it?
It's just sadness. Sadness and like tiredness too.
How do you feel towards the part that's sad and tired?
I feel blended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're really feeling feeling that sadness and tiredness.
Yeah.
Okay. Just see if you can invite it to notice you. Ask it for a little space.
It's like when I'm trying to connect with it, what I'm feeling like saying is pretty much a statement of blendedness, which is like, I'm sad and tired too. That's like, that's not quite being with it, is it? It's like being it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna see if it can.
Yeah, but there's also empathizing and acknowledging that its sadness and tiredness makes sense, and that you get why it would see the universe as cold. Yeah, you could just try asking it to step back a little bit so that you can see it better.
Yeah. It's a little bit, it's interesting. Seems to be like frantic a little bit.
Is it frantic about the idea of stepping back?
Yeah, it's like as soon as it came out of me, it's like a little blue man. Like a man type figure. And as soon as it stepped out of me, it kind of just started going nuts, like running around and not at all facing me. It's almost like it wants to escape from me.
Okay.
It's like, well, if I can't be driving, I want out, is what I feel. It's like feeling.
Yeah, what's the concern about happening if it's not driving?
Doesn't want to tell me yet. It doesn't seem like.
Okay.
It's like there were some answers that wanted to come, but it felt like made up stuff, when you like, you're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, that's not what it said. It didn't say anything.
Okay.
There's a making up stuff part in here, like a, interpreter or whatever, like a psychoanalyzer type part or something, trying to be like, this is what it's scared of and stuff,
Yeah.
But the part's not looking at me when those answers come. It's like, doesn't seem
okay.
Right.
You can let the answer giver know that there's no wrong answers. And just like a topic that we explored earlier and decided not to explore, it's okay if this part doesn't have anything to share. It's totally fine. Even that is valuable information.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you're noticing about the running around part?
The little blue man? It's like he's not moving quite so fast, but it's like he's walking in place, but his feet are like sliding on the floor like a moonwalk almost, but he's against the wall. So it's like he's still thinks he's going or is trying to go, but the wall is in front of him. Just, I need to find a way to, not need. I haven't yet found a way to get him to be interested in telling me.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what the wall's about? Is the wall a different part? Is he frustrated about the wall?
It seems just like he wants to escape, but it also seems like the wall is representative of something.
And what job is the wall doing? What is it wanting to accomplish by being there?
I guess it's there to keep him from escaping.
Because if he escaped,
then we would never find out what his deal is or why he does that.
Oh, okay.
We would never find out why he believes the things that he does.
Okay. So the wall's kind of trying to contain him so that you can get a better look at him.
I guess, yeah. I noticed that I'm saying I guess.
Well, you could offer like a different kind of space. Maybe he needs more space.
He seems to perk up at that. It's like the space that we're in is like stone. It's like very angular. It's not like natural stone, but it's like the wall is like stone or almost like pencil lead looking. And the space is very angular and dark and not warm.
Kind of like Cold Universe.
Yeah. kind of like. And when you said something about a different space, all of a sudden I could see its face, and it looks different than the face looked before. It's like a little mask, like a painted mask or something. But when you said like offer a different space, all of a sudden it had a smiley mask on. And it was in more of a natural type stone place, like a cave or something, instead of like this angular cold place. Okay. And the light there looks more like warm and candle-y like, if that makes sense.
And it prefers that?
Seems to.
Yeah, you could let it know that it can meet you anywhere.
Okay, it's just kind of hanging out now. It's not.
How are you feeling towards it?
I'm very curious.
Yeah.
Very curious.
Me too.
Because it's changed its entire demeanor and visage. It's very interesting. It seems very animated now. It was animated before, but in a
panicky,
terrified sort of panicky way. Yeah. Now it's like the life of the party, kind of. Very interesting.
You could just ask it to tell you about itself. Anything it wants you to know.
I'm getting that interference again. I feel like something is inserting answers.
Hmm. All right. Check in with that part that wants to insert answers. Ask it what it's concerned about.
There's like a sense that that part, number one, finds this part confusing.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, that like something to the effect of like what the blue man has to say is like too big. Not like big in a heavy way, but just like it's like too big of a concept or something. I don't know how to put it well, but that's the sense I get. It's just like, oh, that guy, like, no, he's totally he's like,
too much.
Yeah, this part just is like too big, too weird. Nah.
Does it make sense why this part would feel that way?
Yeah, because it does.
Yeah, so far it has been a little confusing.
Totally.
Yeah. All right. So you can just let that part know that if it's feeding the answers, then we're gonna keep not getting the real answers.
Yeah.
Keep being confused.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's settled for the moment. There was some like tension growing around the corners of my eyes. Like I'm squinting, sort of almost. I think was that part.
The one that was inserting answers?
Yeah, I think it was the squinting. And now the corners of my eyes feel just neutral. This part is now like, it's weird to me, like it's not like we did any deep work with it yet. And it just seems like completely, almost like that first representation was some kind of facade or, I don't know. Like it was tricking me for a second there. And now it seems kind of like weirdly mysterious, but like playfully mysterious.
Yeah, just ask about it. What's it want you to know?
I'm getting like this kind of like, it's like looking off into the distance with like a little smirk on its face. Like, wouldn't you like to know what I have to tell you? Or, just kind of fucking with me, if you will. It's like, oh, you're interested in me now.
Yeah.
Okay, there was like a begging part, like a begging to tell me what you have to say part that was trying to get in there. Sometimes I really wish I was an artist so that I could draw these parts, the non-human ones. I'm like, I wish I could just get somebody to paint this for me. He wants to go for a walk. But I'm not yet getting the notion that he's going to tell me anything on the walk. He's just like, yeah, let's go for a walk. I feel like he's a very mischievous or something like, which is very strange coming from the original, the universe is cold. It's almost like I'm like, the sense I'm getting is like, he doesn't believe that.
Right.
Which is very weird. to me.
I wonder if that was kind of other parts' beliefs about him, because there were parts feeding the answers, and I don't know. It could be that he was projecting that, but it also could be that that's just how he was being seen.
Yeah. Well, even when I say things like that, it's like, I don't really believe, but I thought a part believes it, and the majority of us don't, or something. But and I get the sense now, like, this creature doesn't believe that.
Gonna go for a walk with him?
Yeah, we're doing that. He's like so strange. I'm not gonna try, but I wish I could. Right. I wish I could project my brain to you so you could be like, "Wow, that is wild looking."
I mean, this is all wild, so okay. It's kind of wild from the start.
He's like a kind of like a jungle Muppet is the best. That's not doing it justice at all. But yeah, he's my jungle Muppet.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like a trickster. He's just got like a smirk on his face, and we're just walking along, and I'm like, so did you want to tell me something? Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you might ask about, how we came to find him today. Was you started off with talking about a believer, and then you had other parts that were pushing back on it.
Mm-hmm. And he was supposed to be one of them.
Right, with the cold universe theory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could just ask him if he knows anything about that or has more to say about that.
Yeah, he's just like chuckling. I get the sense that. Let me just check myself before I say what I think, because I'm like, I don't want to be the inserter of stuff to be coming back, but. What I'm feeling is that he threw that notion out and showed me that, picture of not him walking against the wall and frantically trying to escape, to say that's bullshit. Like, that the universe is cold. Like, that he put that out there. Yeah, I don't really think there's a part that believes that in here.
How's he feel about the believer?
I think they're friends, strangely enough. I need to see if I can get him to level with me. When you go for a walk with someone, you're not sitting at a table with them. You're not sitting. It's harder to really get.
Yeah. Right. Sometimes you got to stop.
Yeah. I just keep getting this notion like this walk was to take me to that believer part. I don't know if he's going to tell me anything. I sure would like to know what he thinks is so funny, but.
Does he like having your attention?
Yeah. But he doesn't need it, Like, he has a very sort of confident air about him, and he's very, he seems to be amused the whole time. And he appreciates my attention, but like I said, he doesn't need it.
Does he have any fears he'd like to let you in on?
No, I don't. He's kind of monkey-like too. I know I've described him in like a number of ways, but when you say that, he like throws his head back and it's a laugh, but it's also like a monkey sound that I am not going to make on a podcast. He seemed to think it was funny, the notion that he would have fears. He's just like, ha ha.
Are there other parts that he is sick of or would like to see you work with?
Sick of.
Parts that are hard on him?
I think that's thinking isn't what I'm trying to do. He doesn't feel like any other parts really have power over him. He's just chill. Like, it's so weird how he started. And it's not like, it's too much paradigm happening. I'm like, we didn't do like an unburdening or, whatever. But yeah, he's like, no, none of them has any sway over me. I'm just this crazy blue jungle monkey mask guy.
Okay. And he likes your attention.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he likes my attention, but he doesn't have an urgent need to communicate anything, it doesn't seem.
Okay. How would it feel to just let him know that you'd like to meet with him another time and continue learning about him and giving him your attention?
Yeah, he's good with that. He's like doing some secret handshake with me that I apparently, know how to do or whatever.
Yeah.
As soon as you started saying that, he was like doing all these little, fist bump things and as though we had met before, but I've certainly never seen this creature before.
And did he want you to be walking towards the believer? Does he have any?
Yeah, that's the sense that I get. And I was sensing that at the beginning of the walk, but I was like, there was like a part that's like, that's too weird or something. This is so crazy. Okay. Yeah, I feel like from the beginning, I was like, is that where he's taking me? But, he was being all mischievous. I sure would like to hang out with this part more. I don't know if he'll ever tell me anything, but it's nice to be in his company. I think he was maybe here to show me that I don't believe that the world is cold or the universe is cold, even though, there's some evidence. There's some evidence.
I have a theory.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe he shows you that you don't know what you believe. He's mischievous and the kind of, should I believe in this or shouldn't I believe in this? And he's like, I'm a jungle monkey Muppet that does secret handshakes. And it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe he just finds all that. Maybe he was just walking you to the believer by showing that, there's all kinds of stuff in there.
I like that, but I do believe, or not believe, that word keeps coming in. I sense that the cold, like, room and the trudging into a wall character. I think that was being shown to me. The sense that I'm getting is to be like, that's kind of bull crap. Yeah. It doesn't feel, I know that this is kind of weird to say, it doesn't feel real, but it doesn't feel real in the same way that he felt real and solid to me.
Yeah. When you got a better,
as soon as you said a different space, it was like he jumped up and became this very endearing, animated, compelling creature.
Awesome.
So yeah, I think that he was showing me that cold, kind of hopeless room to be like, well, why would you want to hang out there? There isn't a part there to, I'm sure there's plenty of cold rooms, but not around that thought or that, like, it just doesn't feel there's that notion of the cold universe at the moment doesn't feel like it has any like substance to it. But yeah, I like the notion also that he's like, you don't know what the hell you believe, which is, probably because of not listening to that part.
The believer.
Yeah.
You ready to do that? Does that feel like a good next step? Okay.
I'm hoping to do that. It seems this walk in the jungle and all this, he just like, after he did the handshake thing, he's like, jumps up into a tree and he's just like, this. I feel like I'm in the movie The Labyrinth, which was one of my favorites as a kid. So I'm ready if it's ready to meet me.
Yeah, can you find it? See if it's ready.
I think it's making me wait, like I've made it wait. When you said, can you find it? The monkey Muppet part did his like monkey sound again. And I was like, oh, he's calling the part. And I think they're playing another joke on me. Because now I'm just standing there like looking around. Yeah. And what I'm getting, like as a response from myself almost, is like, how would you like to be left in the middle of the jungle and have no beliefs? Like, does that feel warm and cozy for you? Nothing to believe in, kind of.
So that's what the believer felt like it was sentenced to?
I don't know about that. I think it's more like, do you really want to be without me? That's it. It's more, to me, the message was more like, all right, well, here you are. You've been tricked into standing alone in the middle of the jungle. And do you really want to be without me?
Without me, the beliefs?
Yeah, the believer. Because, there's been some like, some of my like spiritual path and like I said, that whole like non-dual direction of things that where beliefs become kind of child's play, where you want to believe in as few things as possible.
Yep.
And the believer's like, sure is interesting in my world. One of the things, I can't remember the exact wording, but when I tried to check in with it, when it came up a long time ago, it was like, I am not silly and I'm a whole lot more at peace than the rest of you guys. And not naive, it's not like the believer doesn't just believe in any old thing. It's not like gullible. And that seemed to be what it wanted me to know then. And right now it just wants me to stand in the middle of the jungle, and it has started to rain.
How are you feeling?
I'm going to say that I'm seeing myself. And I know that's like supposed to be like some kind of yellow flag or something, but Like it started to rain, and then the picture of me just kind of like opened its chest to the sky and held its hands out. It's like receiving the rain instead of being, inconvenienced by it or whatever.
Where's the believer in all this?
Now that you said that, because I was like, oh, I'm seeing myself. That's not good. Or, I think the believer is the picture of me. And it's like standing there with its heart open and holding out its hands, and it's crying, but like in a happy way as the rain is hitting it. And, this is like trippy, James, because, yeah. It's like, look, the believer is you, because it took me here. And then I realized I was seeing myself. Yeah, I think it's like, it's showing me that I'm not so removed from it as
that was its first message. It's like, what do you think you're going to live without me? Like, what would that be like?
Yeah. And now it's like, as I said, I know it's supposed to be, we're supposed to be like concerned if I'm watching myself, but in this, I think it was like some of that. It's like entertaining me with trickery in a way. Like it took me, when I was walking with the blue man, I was inside me. Like I was in my own head, and not in my head, but you know what I mean? I was looking out. And then when we were like saying, well, let's try to connect to the believer. That's, I think, when I zoomed out and could see, the picture of me that just walked there. And then this rain thing happened, and it was standing there with heart open and like this expression of joy. And I just feel like it was saying like, you're me, I'm you. Like,
I just felt disconnected.
Meaning previously?
Right.
Yeah. And it's like tricked me into seeing that I cannot disconnect. It has felt the notion I'm getting is that now I speak to this me that's standing there in the rain, I guess. But what I sense is that it kind of thinks, like I said, it's like you're silly if you think that as much as you want to like entertain all these notions of these other parts or whatnot, like the believer is part of my essence.
Yes.
So it's just like, you might think you can go away from me or be without me or make me, assign these childish qualities to me. But you've gone nowhere. You've gone nowhere as in like a judgment, but like I'm still right here.
Yeah. And it's had to kind of like, that's what it's saying when these other parts are saying it needs to go away or it's inconvenient or it's whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of had to fight for its right to be a part of the system when it's being thrown in the trunk.
Right. Well, it's saying like, you thought I was in the trunk. I was right there in the driver's seat with you. Like, those other parts get a lot of airtime
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just basically saying like, I'm you, you're me, you cannot, like, it's like doesn't even lose its self-esteem, or you know how a lot of parts that are the other parts are like, you know, trying to put them away or whatever. They are, you know, hurt and vulnerable, and you know, their self-esteem is low and whatnot, but it's like whatever. Like, it's like the monkey man. It's like it has a confidence about it that's beautiful. And
I think it is
unwavering.
Beautiful. I think it's beautiful. I would also suggest just keep asking those usual questions of, you know, tell me more about you, and also looking for, is there pain? Is there fear? Are there burdens? Have parts been hard on it? Because who knows? I mean, we know that there are also parts that don't want to go there, that don't want that, right? The one that thinks, oh, I'm always avoiding something. And so if you're encountering parts and they're all saying, I'm fine, it's kind of like, okay, you know, like I don't want to argue that you're not fine, but
yeah.
I would stay curious about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. To go from this part, I feel like this part's been in the trunk, to no, that didn't happen. Like that's at least something to look into.
Yeah. I think that it's good. That's good what you said. I think that it is hurt by all of that, but what it's conveying is that it knows its worth, even if there are times when I don't.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And I think that would also be something to work on and continue investigating. Just
what would?
Just that self should know its worth.
Yeah.
A part shouldn't have to be self-reliant on. Yeah. Well, they should be self-reliant. They shouldn't have to be reliant on themselves.
Word mints are part.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I've got one too. Yeah. I'm not saying that the part isn't like it hurts, you know, when you try to ignore me, or, you know, I'm just saying, and it's a spiritual concept, the unstruck and uninjured. Sorry, my cat is doing ridiculous things. Uninjured part, it has that too. I guess the believer has a lot of self of its own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What would it like from you?
Acknowledgement, like what is being given here today. It would like for me, yeah, just like a little less sort of rigidity or more playfulness. Yeah, it's like, have you tried standing in the rain? Which I have, but it's been quite a long time because I'm so busy and all.
Mm-hmm.
It just, yeah, like all of the other parts, it would like more time and more connection and more acknowledgement or less repression.
Yeah, it's talked about repression. It's talked about you ignoring it. I would again call that back to a parts thing. So
Another part, you mean?
Well, yeah, just that there are parts that are invested in it being repressed and ignored. And so by following that trail of, okay, who are those parts? Why are they doing that? How can we stop that?
Well,
change
the one that I tried to work with at the beginning turned into a Muppet. So, and seemed to be an ally, which was interesting. And another one, as we've discussed a little bit via text, is willing to collaborate, as I said. But I'm sure there are others, I'm sure, that like cautious ones that don't like to get hopes up and stuff. There's one of those. Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah.
I'll have to sit with that question. I don't think it'll, at this moment, they are all kind of dwarfed by this interesting scene. And I don't think any of them right now are like, I got something interesting to say. They're like, it's pretty impressive that she got that blue guy to do all that. And, maybe she's got some power, this believer part that we're always trying to say is silly and naive and gullible. Like, look who's silly and naive and gullible.
Did the believer get the blue guy to do stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they were in cahoots. He brought me here, then left me. He brought me to the jungle place and then laughed and jumped into a tree. Yeah, the blue guy was in on that.
Right.
And maybe the blue guy, I don't even know. I'm going to have to sit with this.
Okay, so it was Self that made the connection with the blue guy that understood it or tried, or at least took the time to be curious and to try to understand it. The blue guy wasn't communicating clearly, was only confusing until Self showed up to receive that. And so I think it was through Self energy that you learned from the blue guy and are continuing to do the work you're doing with the believer.
Okay. I don't know if I said anything that was contrary to what you're saying, but
okay. I think you said that it was the believer that got you to work with the blue guy or something, but then you also said the blue guy led you to the believer, and all of this is leaving out that Self can be the center, and I think was in this conversation most of the time.
Okay. I don't disagree with that. I don't understand where I wasn't trying to discredit Self. What I was saying was this all felt, very much like a display of this part's intelligence.
Yeah. And it's been appreciated by Self also, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And when the don't get your hopes up parts come up, or the rational parts come up.
When they come up?
Yeah, when they come up in the future.
Later?
What do you imagine would be different?
I imagine that I will be less blended with them. And that I'll be able to say like, oh, I see that, like I'm not going to, discredit them, but
right.
It won't just like wipe out my desire to be connected to this part.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that part that was concerned about following the rules of IFS, I think that we have successfully done IFS today. I'm looking at my scoring sheet here, and I think we did some.
I thought it's funny, and I don't necessarily think this, but for some reason I thought you were going to say I think we've successfully broken the rules or something like that. Not to say that I think we have. I'm not scoring while I'm trying to be.
I also would probably say that if we're not bending the rules, or at least going by what your system dictates, then we're not doing it. So it is kind of ironic or contradictory in that way that we got to go where parts lead, and we did that.
Yeah.
How'd it feel to you? Useful?
It felt very, yes.
Awesome.
Can I ask you a favor? Please. And it's okay to say no?
Yeah.
Can I listen to this soon? Because it's like such a wild one, and I really don't want to forget about it and then listen to it a bunch of months later.
You got it.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Thank you so much. Anything else? It was nice to reconnect.
I feel the same way. Thanks for letting me in on the journey, and for that.
Yeah, I wish I had a brain projector. It'd be so much more interesting for you.
That's what we need. We need even more content in our conversations.
It's already pretty thick, huh?
I was just thinking, if I were to put out all the stuff that I'm thinking too, I think we're doing a great job of navigating that, because we both love the process. We both have all these parts that are curious about the process, and I think we're navigating that pretty well. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, James.
Okay. Talk soon.
Thanks for the extra time.
My pleasure.
Have a good day.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Yvonne, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows, that might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube, and they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.